Hi, welcome to Calico Flower Studio. I'm Dani, and today I'm going to be making a collage in one of my visual journals and sharing some thoughts with you about love. So sit back and relax and enjoy. Check this out.
Hello, my love, and welcome. Let me show you what I got. Today, I did a couple of rounds of elimination because sometimes I pick out more materials than I can ever use in the time that I plan to make art on the 1-2 page spread. And so when I do that, I know that the pieces I picked out are what I really want to use, and I'll be more likely to use them. So it's a little bit more curated, I guess. We'll see how that goes. So with that said, let me tell you what I brought here. I have a paint peel. So this is just dried paint that I peeled off of a paint palette. This was probably house paint, which is why it's still flexible and not like crumbling apart. This is a hand from a photograph. This is a doily thing that was wrapped around a cupcake. A piece of fabric. A little watercolor painting on paper. Tissue paper collaged onto cardstock. Some scrap fabric. And I love this fabric because obviously it has kitty cats, of course. I mean, how could I resist? This is a print on paper. It was collaged on a larger piece, and then there were some drawings and markings as well. Yellow tissue paper. A piece of fabric, which the flower design is conveniently already cut out very nicely. Some very fancy paper. I love how soft it is with lots of pretty fibers as well as this flower that I painted on it. And these are just scraps from some Valentine's Day like candygram things that I made last year for some people I work with. I like these because they have these little ropes tied to them, which is an interesting dimensional element. But these are printed, so I used printmaking ink and styrofoam to print this design over and over again. You can even see on the inside it says Love Dani and Nick. So I've got a few of those to play around with. This is from a collage on paper. I had multiple collages that I stitched together along the edges, and at one point I made a large piece with many collages stitched together. It was kind of cool, like a quilty kind of thing, but I love the dimensional element of the stitching. Finally, some scraps of photographs from an apple orchard in Ohio, which is where I'm originally from. I use these photos a lot, so you may have seen this before. And that's it. All right, let's get started. So, this 2-page spread has a pocket, and I'm wondering if I want to take advantage of that. Or maybe I shouldn't let it distract me because I feel obligated to do something with it. I don't want to feel obligated to incorporate it if I don't really want to. I think I'm just going to let it go. So I have a confession to make. I watch reality TV sometimes. Particularly those shows where people date or like get married under extreme circumstances. And while there is so much like dumb drama and the circumstances these people are put in are totally out there, there are some little moments or nuggets of gold sometimes. And, you know, everyone has their own ideas about love and relationships that are valid and true for them. But I just want to share 3 thoughts about love that really resonate with me and which I first heard articulated on reality TV, of all places. So, the first is, when it comes to love, romantic love, instead of thinking about falling in love, think about growing in love, which is a pretty powerful way to look at it, given all of the different ideas we have about what love is supposed to look like or be like, especially at different stages of love. And, you know, when you fall in love, looking at just the language of that, falling in love implies that there's some kind of bottom, right? And then, you know, a bottom that you hit and then you're done falling. I mean, you can't be falling forever because that's terrifying. Right? But if you grow in love, there's no limit or ending. And, you know, that allows for change and development, which is so important in a relationship. So another word of wisdom from my reality TV shows is, love is not something that just happens. Maybe sometimes it seems that way, or one might think that love is just supposed to be there without any kind of effort. But loving and expressing love in reality is a choice. And I 100% agree with that. One last word of advice from my reality TV shows is, you should love people the way they want to be loved. And if you know how it is that they want to be loved. So that's it. And I'll have more thoughts on that later. But I was talking to Nick the other day, my husband, about relationships, which is actually something that we talk about a lot together. He's an actor, and he is studying a role in which he's married to someone, and their marriage is affected by one of the people in the relationship feeling dependent on the other person for a sense of self or a sense of identity. And for me, this brought up another part of our language around love and relationships that I think is tricky and shouldn't be taken too much to heart. It's the notion of two people being two halves of a whole. And I can't say that I've never called Nick, my other half before, but I think it's really dangerous to depend on anyone or anything for that matter in order to feel like a whole person. I mean, I don't have children, so I can't speak to that dynamic or that kind of love. But for me and Nick, it's really healthy for us to each have our own strong sense of self. I mean, most of the time we're like two peas in a pod, we're like inseparable, sharing everything. But we can be pretty independent too. And we love that about us. Speaking of loving others the way they want to be loved, I have learned so much about differences and loving people from my freaking cats. They are truly my greatest teachers. If you have taken the time to really learn about cats and understand their behavior, then you probably have an idea of what I'm talking about. They have an entirely different love language than us, and it's our job to respect that, understand that, and love them the way they want to be loved, no matter how contrary it is to what we think love should look like. And I love them so much. Finally, I want to talk about self-love. Like, me sitting down to make this art is truly an act of self-love. Also, I was thinking about it too. I do yoga as much as I can. I can't claim to say that I do it every day. I mean, that would be nice, but when I do it, I feel like that is an act of self-love. Honestly, yes, it keeps me physically healthy, but it's all connected. It's all connected to mental and emotional health too. And it's nice that yoga keeps me fit, but when I do it, my thought is usually, man, I just really need this time for myself, to love myself a little bit, to care for myself. I do it for the mental and emotional impact that it has on me. And that's what keeps me coming back. It's so important to take care of yourself, to love yourself, even when it's hard. Just like in my last video about showing up. Showing up is totally an act of love. Kind of like what I said earlier, we choose to love. That is a choice that we make. It goes right along with showing up, making that choice. We show up for others, so show up for yourself. Not in that order necessarily. Also, in the spirit of my last video, you can show up gently. So, whatever way you want to love yourself, if it feels difficult, you don't have to force it. You can ease into it. A little goes a long way. I say that to myself a lot lately when it comes to anything. When things feel difficult, when things are hard, you don't have to kill yourself over anything. Even just a little bit makes a difference. And the same goes for love. Sometimes I will cover up one section of my painting or collage or whatever I'm working on just to see something in isolation. But this side, I'm not too crazy about it. What needs to happen over here? Do we need to recall this material? Do I need to bring more green to this side? So I really want to use this hand holding an apple for some reason. We might get a bonus page out of this. Let me see. awesome. Well, I enjoyed making art with you today. I'm finished now, so I want to take this moment to ask you to show some love by subscribing. It really helps my channel and it costs you nothing, so why not? Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I hope you have a lovely day, and I'll see you next time. Do, do, do. Do, 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 do. Okay, that's it.
Okay.
I'm done.
Click out of that.